Kyle here from allmediareviews.blogspot.com. Quick video here on Saturday, was it February 17th? Just a few things to show. Maybe I'll make a comment or two about some other stuff going on. I didn't show this the last video, and I didn't even talk about this in the podcast I did, but this is the set list I got from the Kimbra concert a couple weeks ago at the Cedar Culture Center in Minneapolis. So you can see the tracks. A lot of them are new songs, of course. You know, I don't know if I call them a set list collector, but I guess it means something for me to try to get set lists now that it didn't used to years ago. I've gone to 500 or 600 concerts in my life, but I never got a set list from Kimbra, so it's kind of neat to get one. I didn't get a meter, of course, but I did get a set list, and I don't know why they're in different colors like this, but whoever, you know, there's probably 3, 4, 5, 6 set lists on the stage for everyone performing. So, although actually, now thinking about that, there wouldn't have been, because there was only her with 2 other people for most of the show, except the encore, which some of the members of the first opening band, which I'm blanking on the name, did some stuff, including that Prince song. So, yeah, but I don't know how many set lists I've got. Maybe I don't have them organized. I have them when I moved. I put a lot of them away, but I probably over the last maybe 3 or 4 years especially, I've probably collected maybe 10 or 15, 20 of them. Actually, I had some going back many years too, but I've been more conscious to try to get them. So, what's your thoughts on collecting set lists at concerts? I know some people don't give a rat's ass about it. Some people think it's neat to have. Some people make it their priority. I usually don't stand in the front or sit in the front, so I have to kind of make my way immediately after the concert's over to go try to get it if I can. So, anyway. So I have a couple of CDs to show, and why don't I go with one, because the other one I'm going to probably elaborate on more after that. So the first one is one of a couple CDs from this band that I've ordered, and I haven't received the other one. This is the band Sculptured, their album Apollo Ends. And I wish I knew off the top of my head. It doesn't say what year this actual CD came out. I want to say it was 98, but they put out 2 albums in about a 4 or 5 year period in the late 90s, early 2000s. I think one of them was 98, the other one was 2003. And I ordered the other one, and the other one's title was escaping me. Anyway, this is Sculptured they're a, I guess, progressive metal band, you could say, but they're more like black metal. It's Don Anderson of Agalloch's side project, which you could say it resembles Sculptured in some ways, but also, like I said, is more progressive. I'm most familiar and really think of Sculptured primarily. Actually, this says 1999, so maybe this is their debut album, Apollo Ends. So, yeah, it must be then. They'd be full length at least. But anyway, Sculptured, I know them best from their album Embodiment from 2008. It's the 10-year anniversary of that, actually, in a lot of ways. That one, I love the samples, the atmosphere. Yeah, it's got some black metal elements, but it's not like highly technical, but it's very kind of dynamic and very moody, but also there's a lot of layers to it. The biggest other reason why Sculptured has come across my consciousness is the last few years, especially with the ending of Agalloch. Was it last year? I think it was last year. It was last year, the year before. It was 2007 to 2016. Sculptured's got a new album coming out, which the Liminal Phase, I think it's called, sometime, because they recorded it in 2017. But the problem is they have not updated the Facebook since like March, so it's almost been a year. But they mentioned recording it and all this stuff, so I assume it's going to come out relatively soon. So when that does happen, I'll definitely have to talk about that and maybe show. I'm going to definitely get that, because I really loved Embodiment. It was my top 10 albums from 2008, so 10 years ago now. And this album, Apollo Ends, and the one after it, I guess, which I'm blanking on the title, which I did order as well. I like too, but I haven't spent as much time with. They're similar, but I think Embodiment, it was like a long gap between the one before Embodiment that I don't have right yet, and Embodiment in 2008. It was like 6 or 7 years or whatever. They kind of perfected and changed some things. I don't know. I just kind of found Embodiment to be really my speed, because I remember checking both this Apollo Ends and the other one out after getting into Embodiment like a year later and liking it, but I didn't spend as much time with it because it didn't grab me as much as Embodiment did. But yeah, no, especially if you're an Agalloch fan and there's this stuff that John Heim or whatever has done. There's a couple projects, I'm blanking the titles. Certainly you can check those projects out. They came out with something last year in 2017. I never got around to hearing any of it. And then there might be more than one project, but this is the other go-to for me. And this is actually, honestly, Sculptured's Embodiment is probably, I prefer over almost anything by Agalloch, other than maybe the White EP. So anyway, the other biggie, and I talked about it on the podcast. I did a large chunk of a podcast this past week on it. Dirt Poor Robins, this band from Louisville, Kentucky. This is a CD from their Raven Locks Act 1. Now, it's not really an official, it's not like an authorized version of it, because I don't believe this never came out as an authorized official CD, but I don't know who printed this or whatever, but I am absolutely in love with this band. And the best news of the last couple days is that I listened to, news to me at least, I listened to a Q&A with Neil deGrade of Dirt Poor Robins and his wife, the lead singer, Kate. And Neil talked about how starting in April they're going to start to release one track a month, and they're going to do podcasts on this new concept album they're going to put out over the course of a year from April of 2018 all the way to April of 2019. It's the Raven Locks Act 1. This is the first of 3 acts. The last one came out in 2017, Act 3, which is my favorite thing they've done. But this particular Act 1, is really good. It's just shorter. It's only 8 songs. Solemn Dream, and I'm really loving Fallen right now, and The Bird is in the Birdcage are my favorite parts of this. I kind of am looking at, though, all the Raven Locks Acts albums, Part 2, which came out in 2014. This came out in 2013. Part 2 came out in 2014 and 2017, Act 3. I look at it as really one album almost in a lot of ways, Part 1, 2, and 3. I mean, just to rate each individually, but I'm almost thinking, not if they were written at the same time, they weren't written at the same time, it just seems like one, larger piece over a couple of years. They have 2 previous albums before the Raven Locks, though. One's called The Bird, or The Cage, and the other one's called Leviathan. Anyway, thanks for watching.